I guess we just had to restart the stream. You know, they say, did you restart it? Did that fix it? So it looks like, hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers, did nothing different, just restarted the stream. So I really hope that helps. I'm sorry for any confusion this might have caused you, dolls. I'm new to the streaming world, and I wanted something more reliable, so I'm trying something else out. And we are here for Cello Tip Tuesday Live, where I can demonstrate, I can answer any of your questions about cello playing, about practicing, anything you guys want to talk about or hear my opinion on. I'm so happy to chat with you guys, and anything about the music industry as well. So I really look forward to hearing your questions. And of course, Shelly is always happy to be here as well, hanging out with you guys. Question, what was that piece you were playing before? Honestly, it was just improv, as was this. Like I said, Shelly's so happy to see you guys. He just wants to sing until we get some questions. So, yeah, it's just some improvisation. And I really hope Sean comes back. I feel bad. Sean was asking a great question, and there was something up with the connection. So I'm hoping Sean finds their way back. Oh, thank you. It was beautiful. Very kind of you. Thank you. I'm going to keep playing for you guys until I get some questions. Again, practicing, music industry, social media, practicing tips. Doesn't have to be just cello stuff, you know? I'm interested in what all my dolls want to know about and learn about. Whether you play cello or not, this is our time, our fun space. We have a question from Cheryl. Any advice for older adults learning to play cello? I have been taking lessons for 2 years now. Well, congratulations, Cheryl. That's amazing that you are deciding to take up cello and start your own cello journey. Any age, you can enjoy music and an instrument. Excuse me. So some advice I would have for you, let's see. Well, I hope you found a wonderful teacher that you enjoy working with. And you guys talk a lot about the physicality of playing. That is a huge thing I talk about with my students. But the reason I think it's really good for you to keep in mind, Cheryl, is because as an adult, you have much more refined motor skills and a better understanding of how to angle your body in different ways, tilt your hand, tilt your wrist. Because often when we are teaching beginner children, they don't have the maturity yet to understand what all of that might mean. What do you mean tilt my wrist this way? Angle my hand? What? So we kind of have to adjust our teaching in a way a child can understand. However, if you're an adult, I really think your teacher could check in with you on those types of aspects more. The idea of, arm angle, arm height, wrist angle, those types of things, since we do have a better understanding of how to tweak our bodies or readjust our bodies. So I hope that's something you guys talk about in lessons. Another thing too that I tell people, no matter their age, always remember why you started cello. Always remember why you started. And that was huge for me when I was going through college and things were difficult and I had some really tough periods going through college. There were a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and that's what kept me going. So if you are playing this instrument for the sake of enjoying it and experiencing music, or you love the sound of cello, they might sound like givens, but they're actually very powerful signs of love for the cello. So I really want you to think about keeping in touch with that side of you always. Because we all have this. You're going to encounter what's called your first plateau. And what I mean by that is when we're practicing and we're at a certain level, we want to go up and advance, right? But sometimes there has to be a lot more work before we have that spike in growth. And when you first start off, it might be a little bit of this, like constant accomplishments, constant achievements. Well, then as you get better and you start learning harder things, those spikes aren't going to happen as often because the things you're going to have to improve on are going to narrow their scope and it's going to be harder. So if you find you're playing and man, I've just been I feel like I'm at the same place and it's been a few weeks, that's normal, and be open to talk about that with your teacher. I think students get nervous about saying, I'm frustrated with how I'm playing, or I'm not happy with how I'm playing. And in addition to helping you play the instrument, a teacher should be your mentor, and they should coach you and be there for you. And I was giggling a little bit because it almost, in a way, sometimes your teacher is also a listening ear and your musical therapist. So don't be afraid to express any frustrations you might be feeling. You can talk with someone who has experience and talk with someone who might have some eye-opening advice rather than bottling it up inside. Because if you bottle it up inside, it's going to affect how you practice. It's going to affect your encouragement and wanting to practice. So Cheryl, I know I've been talking a long time. I hope some of that's helpful for you. Please type in the chat if something needs more elaboration or if you have a follow-up question to that. But I'm so glad you're starting your journey with cello. And again, any age, anyone can pursue music and love it and enjoy it for the sake of wanting to be a music maker. It's funny, there's a piece, pictures at an exhibition It's a very famous piano piece that was later arranged for orchestra. Oh, you're most welcome, Cheryl. And it was one way it was made famous, it was in some of the pieces were in Disney's Fantasia, and there are these movements called promenades. And the idea of an art exhibition, right? You see a painting and you walk on, and then you see the next piece of artwork. And a promenade were these movements that were written to kind of narrate you walking to the next painting or the next piece of music. So the way Pictures at an Exhibition is set up is you have a major piece that represents a painting, and then walking along, you have music, and then there's a new painting. Okay, great. So, sorry, before I cut out, what I was talking about was Pictures at an Exhibition, which is a famous piece. I'm sorry if I'm repeating because I'm not quite sure where I cut out, but it's a famous piece where each movement represents a character or a scene, kind of like you're walking through and seeing paintings. And in between each major movement, there's this music called Promenade, which represents walking from painting to painting. So I'm going to treat your questions like the paintings. And until I get a question, I'm just going to improvise and have fun, because I'm sure some of you just enjoy hearing cello music as well. So until the next question, I'm going to just improvise for you all. And I'm sorry about earlier. My preview I see on my end hadn't updated, so my stream was actually fine for a while and I was just sitting there, so I'm really sorry about that. Kind of awkward, but let's have some not awkward improv, okay? done a lot. Lots of walking in this improv promenade. I would love to have some more questions just about practicing or cello. Any tips? Any musicians out there wanting to start some social media? You guys can ask social media questions too. I'm basically just here as a resource for you dolls. Every month I like to do a live stream, play a little bit for you guys, and also answer any questions you might have. So, anything you want to know? Anything you would like for me to share? Anyone thinking about going to a conservatory for college and wanting college tips? Anything at all? Hi, Sean. Thank you so much for your question. Is it normal for the right arm muscle to burn out? Yes, burn out when playing at the tip of the bow a lot. Sure. So, I'm wondering how often you're playing at the tip. And this is also a good segue to talk about practice stamina. So if you're not used to playing at the tip of the bow, I would practice that technique in maybe 5-minute increments. So for a couple days, do it 5 minutes, maybe 5 days later, try 2 pockets of 5-minute time. Because we're training new muscles in our arms, fingers, etc. And they're small muscles and they're sensitive muscles. So if you play at the tip for a long stretch of time and that's all you do and your muscles don't have a chance to release, they can, as you said, burn out. So be very careful with that. A couple tips for playing at the tip. So you can play as your 5-minute rep. You can do your scale starting up bow. Etc. And when you're done, hold the bow and give your arm a nice gentle shake. Let it relax. Maybe go get a sip of water, take a couple minute break, and then go on to something else. So you can tire out your arm if that's all you do for 10-15 minutes is just try to play at the tip. So be careful about that. The other thing you can do to help your muscle is to lift the elbow a tiny bit. So it went from being down here to a little bit above my wrist. And then the arm comes in. That's another important piece. So if you bring the arm up a little bit to get extra leverage, that's what this is for. And you leave the arm up. Sorry, I forgot. I wanted to demonstrate it wrong and I started correcting myself. So if you have the arm up for a little bit of leverage and you come in but you don't release the arm, that's going to be flexing a lot of unnecessary muscles, and that will also have your arm burn out. So, yes, we want to practice playing at the tip, of course, but we also want to practice the follow-through of traveling back down to the frog. Hope that helps. So again, 5 minutes for maybe a week, 5 minutes a day for a week, and then week 2, try 2 pockets of 5 minutes. And then another week, try 3 pockets of 5 minutes. And then I wouldn't go too much beyond that because I'm sure you have other stuff you'd like to practice. So notice how I didn't say 10 minutes at once. You want to stay with the 5-minute pockets just so you remember. Very good question, Sean. Yeah, always make sure if you are out somewhere where your weight is far away, you want to relax and ease into it as you come back home to the frog and your instrument gets close to your body. Sorry, not your instrument. Your bow gets back and your arm is close to your body. Your instrument's always by your body. It should always be by your body. Cello doesn't go anywhere with. All right. Thank you so much, Sean. Do we have any more questions? Canon and D. A minor masquerade Canon and D fusion piece. Revenge on Canon and D. If you guys don't know That's a joke amongst cellists where canon in D is always played in weddings all the time, and the cellist plays the same 8 notes on repeat until the end. Literally the same 8 notes. Same 8 notes. Everyone else gets the pretty melodies, you know, the violins get it, and we just get the same 8 notes. That's all we do. And I don't even use sheet music anymore because it's the same 8 notes, and I just phrase with the upper melody and what I'm hearing in my ear, and I'll do dynamics with them and stuff. But anywho, that was me doing like C minor rocker, canon in D. We'll see. Maybe that'd be a fun spring project. The fall is jam-packed. You guys better get pumped. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening this fall, and a lot of it's already been started. So work in progress, but you guys are gonna get some fun teasers. Good week. I would love to hear where some of you guys are watching from. Where in the world are my dolls? Where are you guys spread out? From Michigan. I actually went to Michigan for a audition. There's a big music school out there called the University of Michigan. So I auditioned for their program. So I had a nice visit. Unfortunately, when you're auditioning, you don't really have time to visit the places you're auditioning at, because I'm going to tell you, dolls, how hectic college auditions are. Not even college auditions, but if you're auditioning for an orchestra or an ensemble. So basically, you get there, you arrive in the city, and if you are staying at a hotel, you probably want to get to the hotel, and then your first priority is just practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing. Sometimes, and I had to do this for a rehearsal once, I had to go straight from the airport to my rehearsal. And I think it was for Michigan. I had to rehearse with the piano player. So I had to go straight from the airport to the conservatory, no rest time, and just play the rehearsal down, practice my audition rep with the pianist. Then I got to go back to my hotel and such. But I mean, you don't get a visit basically, you don't get a visit because you practice and you warm up and you kind of get in a good frame of mind. Then you go do the audition, and usually you then go home unless you decided to stay an extra day or so. But yeah. Didn't get to visit Michigan, but I did like the school. I've heard it's beautiful out there. I've heard the you're right by the Great Lakes and a lot of great forests. I love hiking, so I'm sure I would love to visit somewhere like Michigan, because hiking is one of my favorite ways to just let off steam and enjoy nature, enjoy natural air, natural sunlight. That's probably one of my favorite non-musical habits is hiking. I love hiking. Yes, I do things other than play my instrument, I promise. So really cool, we have someone from Michigan. I'm currently on the East Coast of the US. And I know we had some technical difficulties with the stream. So I'm going to stay on a couple extra minutes for you dolls. I don't want you guys to feel gypped in any way. So if you have any other questions about practicing or technique, I would be more than happy to demonstrate with Chelly. And I did figure out how to get these cool texts and icons in my stream, which is really cool and exciting, and I feel proud of myself. But for those of you who might be wondering, if you only know me from YouTube, I am also on Facebook and Instagram, which you can see over here. And that third icon is also Patreon. So I'm on Patreon, where if you join, you can get monthly perks that you won't find on my social media, and those include things like discounted lessons, MP3s, early releases of my major videos, things like that. And everything on Patreon goes back into Cello Doll. So I really appreciate all of your guys' support. Those of you who are on Patreon. If you're not on Patreon, check it out. I'm on there as the Cello Doll. You can also find it in any of my video descriptions on YouTube. I have my Patreon link there. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So yeah, I'm going to play a little bit more as our promenade walking music in between questions. And don't feel like you're interrupting me. I don't want people to hesitate to type if they have questions. You're not interrupting me. I just want to, if no one has any questions, I'd rather fill the time with music than my voice. But if you have questions, that takes precedence always. I love it. Should I practice early in the day when I don't want to help me know what problems I need to work on later? I always practice at night when I feel more up to it. That's an excellent question. When it comes to practicing, each person is different. I know some people who swear they only practice well at night. I usually practice earlier in the day, so everyone's kind of different. So what I will tell you is, I think if you are mentally excited and ready to practice, you're going to have a more fulfilling experience. Whereas if you aren't really in the mood or you're not feeling it, you might not be as focused. So I feel like whenever you feel more up to it might be better. You sound like you might be an evening practicer. Sounds like it to me. But another thing you can think about is, are you more critical of yourself in the morning? And I don't mean critical in a bad sense. I mean, maybe your ear is more sensitive in the morning. Maybe you catch some of your mistakes more, and that might be why, the morning doesn't feel fulfilling because I'm noticing more of my mistakes. And you can turn that into a more positive thing. Maybe you could split your practicing time up, do some things in the morning, and then spend a little bit of time at night thinking, what didn't go well in the morning? Let me try it tonight and see if it improves. So you could try that. Maybe split your practicing time, 50% in the morning, 50% at night. And I would wonder if your morning practice time eventually improves. Because some people believe that when you go to bed at night, sometimes your brain will process things you worked on the previous day. And then when you wake up, it's, in the example of cello playing, oh wow, this seems so much easier to play and all I did was sleep. So maybe if you practice at night and then again in the morning, you're kind of bookending your productivity. And I don't mean to sound generic, but the best way to learn what's best for you is to just try out these different methods. And don't just try them for a day, try them for maybe a week. You know, usually a week is when things start to stick. In my experience, of course. Everyone is different. But I think, so what I would assess that, Sean. Ask yourself, you know, why don't I want to practice in the morning? Is it because you're more sensitive to your mistakes, or are you just, no, I haven't woken up yet, I'm not ready? You should practice when you most feel, I believe you should practice when you feel like you're the most engaged, the most focused, and you are going to be the most productive. That's what I try to do. Although I will say once in a while, I like practicing when I'm sleepy because I'm very relaxed when I'm sleepy. And I find my ear is very sensitive. For some reason, I pick up on more subtle things. And, you know, sometimes I find myself practicing like a couple measures, super focused, super in depth, and then it's been like 30 minutes. And I go, okay, Carolyn, you got to move on. But it's cool because sometimes being drowsy allows me to hyper focus. I find that. So sometimes if I really want to work on intonation and not something super flashy and fast, if I want to do slow intonation work, I'll practice in the morning. So again, these are things I've learned just through personal experience. But again, you will see a pattern if you try different things, or you will quickly learn your preferences if you try different things. But at the end of the day, do what makes you feel most fulfilled at the end of your session. Hope that helps. I love it. The psychological aspects of practicing. Super important to think about. Not a lot of people actively talk about it, I find, or actively teach it. So I think thinking about your practicing time is almost just as important as thinking about what to do on the instrument. Because if you set yourself up for successful practicing, all the hard work you do is more likely to stick. Hope that makes sense. But thank you, Sean. That's a wonderful question. Excellent. So it's been almost 45 minutes. So I'm going to take one more question before we end our Cello Tip Tuesday live stream. And again, if you guys only know me from YouTube, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon, where I give out monthly goodies. Secret cello doll goodies. So, any questions, any closing questions or remarks, comments, anything you dolls would like to share? This is our safe doll cello loving space. Thank you all so much for joining tonight for the Cello Tip Tuesday live stream. And we'll see you dolls soon. And more surprises coming. Be sure to follow on the socials so you get some behind the scenes sneak peeks to come up for the fall. And thank you all so much. If you are watching this after the stream, hello! Thank you, Do-young from Korea. So nice to see you here. Love it. And if you're watching this after the fact and you have any questions for me, feel free to comment below and I'll check on the comment section later underneath this video and I will try to answer whatever questions I can. And thank you all so much, and we'll see you in September. We do these once a month to come together, hang out, listen to some music, ask some questions, ask me anything, ask Shelly anything. So we'll see you guys next month for another live stream. All right, we'll see you guys soon. As always, more videos to come in the following weeks. Have a good night or day, depending on where you are, and we'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.